Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Cheers. And welcome to another episode of Marlon vs. Marlon. And I'm your boy Marlon.
And I'm your boy Marlon.
Join us as two childhood friends go back and forth, argue, fight, debate, sometimes maybe even agree on everything from sports to pop culture and everything in between.
All right, today's episode we got a special one. As you can see, Brandon is here joining us again.
It's good.
It's been a while. We've been trying to get him back on. You know, life has been happening, so glad to have him back. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
If you guys haven't heard the last episode 56 with Pretty Privileged, please go back and check on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. That's on there. Before we get started, today's been a one of those difficult days. I think that we've seen, and you just really just kind of just take note of everything that's going on around you. So, definitely
You need sports, bro.
Yeah,
you need sports.
Definitely. So, but today's episode we got a ton of stuff to get into. I mean, college football playoffs. We have some boxing stuff we're going to get into. Of course, wild card weekend and NBA as well. But we will start with Dr. Dre, as you heard. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, all that, Dr. Dre. He's currently in ICU right now. We hope he definitely pulls through. He's a music icon. So, growing up in California, I mean, Dr. Dre he is still known as one of the best producers, artists, whatever you want to call it. So,
Mogul. He's a mogul, man.
Yeah,
you can't even just call him a producer or artist. I mean, hip hop's first billionaire.
Sure.
So.
Beats,
with beats, and he kind of just showed us the way, man. So, prayers out to him. Get well soon, man.
Absolutely. So let's get into this Heisman stuff. So we Heisman was last night, and a lot of people thought that Mr. Trevor Lawrence was going to take it, and Devontae Smith ended up taking it. So were you surprised that Trevor didn't get it, or
They got it right. They got it right. And the reason why is, when Waddle went down early in the season, right, everyone said, what's Alabama going to do? What are they going to do? Devontae Smith just kept stepping up, right? And then Trevor Lawrence, he didn't have that Trevor Lawrence season, right? This was a kind of a regression, which I decided to say. I mean, the man didn't win a national championship and throw for, 80,000 yards, but he just didn't have the strongest season as he typically does. And Devontae Smith just had, you have to be have to have a historical season to win as a wide receiver. Right, so we know that. And then Mac Jones, strong season, but I still think Najee Harris should have been in ahead of him, because without Najee Harris, there is no Mac Jones with that running game, right? So they got it right.
Yeah, this is one of the rare times we almost think of the Heisman as a quarterback award. Every once in a while we'll see a running back get it, and even more rare we see, in this case, a receiver getting it. But I'm with you, man. I think he was the best player in college football. It is tough because a lot of the receiver depends on the quarterback in most situations to get him the ball, but he was the best player. I'm with you, hands down to me.
Uncoverable. I mean, when Waddle went down again, remember Judy is gone. That whole group was gone, right? It was just Smith, and every game they game plan for him, and he still would pop 200 on everybody. So he earned it, man.
And Lawrence had another good year. He's gonna be the first pick probably in the draft
for sure.
But I do think him contracting COVID and having to sit out kind of set him back, and then he didn't have the numbers and the showing he needed to have to miss a couple games and come back and they lost that game. He was out, so they're not the undefeated team.
Of course, he wasn't even the best player on his team this year. It should have been Travis Etienne, right? Because he is, again. People are going to realize when this dude goes to the next level, he's going to be one of those running backs. You hang it up. He's going to have a 1,000-yard season by his second year. He's going to hang up about 7 or 8 of them in a row. I just believe that.
So we'll stay with college football. We did see Bama Notre Dame. I think everybody knew Bama would win. It's just by how much. So we saw that. I will say this: Bama wasn't as explosive as I think they've been all year. I think this isn't the Alabama team that we've seen in the past, but I do think that they were going to win, but I don't know if they have enough to beat this Ohio State team.
So it's kind of hard to say they weren't explosive, because by halftime they actually were on pace to put up more yards than any other team in a playoff history game. Right?
Yeah.
So they just, I mean, the score didn't look like it, right?
Yeah.
But when you put your eyes ball game, they were up 14-0. Then, Notre Dame came up 14-7, and then that was it. From that point on, Nick Saban and that team decided this is lights out. And the offense didn't have to have that breakout performance. But you seen the over-under for the final game. It's 75.
A lot of scoring.
So there's going to be some
Lot of
points in this
points.
game, right? So just sit back, relax. Justin
Because
Fields is going to put on the show.
And I think that it was the what was the over under for the Alabama Notre Dame?
I think that one was like low 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't nearly as high as Ohio State. But Ian Brook, I mean, I'm not gonna hate on him, but congratulations. He has more wins than any Notre Dame quarterback, but he's just not that good, and they didn't have any response to Alabama. So
Yeah.
Alabama didn't have to pull out all those stops. But you can best believe, because no one, I don't care what no one was expecting that outcome from Clemson and Ohio State.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say.
Yeah, they put up a 50 ball, 49, put up a 50 ball on Clemson. But I'll say this too about the Alabama Notre Dame game is that Notre Dame defense was pretty good throughout the year.
Of course.
So the game that Alabama played and to beat them by almost 20 points is still like pretty impressive considering what they did the rest of the year. Like this is a team that they lost to Clemson in that ACC championship game. But they also beat Clemson, albeit with a backup quarterback.
2 overtimes, but
yeah. But they, that's still an explosive offense outside of Trevor Lawrence. We were just talking about before we started, or not even before we started. We were just talking about Travis Etienne. So I think it was a good showing by Alabama, and I got Alabama winning it all.
Put one here for that too. I'm going to roll with that.
Yeah, Alabama has 5 or 6 guys or first round picks on that defense. So I don't think that Justin Fields is banged up.
I was gonna say with Justin Fields being 100%, does that change the outcome of anything?
No, it makes it closer.
Yeah, and I don't think he's gonna be 100% either.
And he's definitely not. But I gotta give it to him. I mean, with him taking that shot that he took, still putting up some big numbers and making big time throws, and seeing him on the sideline not being able to get up on the bike and just being in so much pain, I gotta give it to him. And the guys is I'm hoping this can translate into the league and he can be a star for some years to come.
Let's see him make that play against a top 5 pick playing corner.
That's what I'm saying. When you got Surtain sitting over there, man, first of all, when he comes to the line, whoever Surtain is on, that's done.
Yeah, that
side of the field is done, right? And I get it. Clemson. So this year, Clemson did not have the front line we're used to seeing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They
had a lot of guys go to the league.
Mike, what's up?
So it's a little different. He's gonna see a little different pressure from the Bama boys come Monday.
Yeah, you're not sitting back there and getting 5 seconds to throw that 60-yard bomb to Olave downfield. Shout out to Olave, he's a San Diego kid, but it's not.
That throw was short though. That short.
Yeah, he had to slow down.
Hung up there a little bit.
And that I think is partially due to the injury a little bit. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt on that, but that you can do that when you got 2 steps on the DB. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not happening this week.
That's not happening. Nope. You're not beating Alabama DBs by 2 steps like that.
So speaking of taking punches to the side, or if you will,
segue king he is.
Yeah. Ryan Garcia. I mean, this guy is. We saw what he did on Saturday. I mean, he's definitely one of the most up. Was he 22?
They're all 22.
Up and coming boxer. I mean, he's. First off, what are your thoughts of the fight, and what do you think of Ryan Garcia itself?
So I'm gonna say this, man. Boxing is back. I'm just gonna start with that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I know we're talking about Ryan right now, but just from a division standpoint, heavyweight, super middleweight, welterweight, when you starting welterweight, there's so much talent in boxing, and it's young, right?
Yeah.
Tank Davis, right? You got Haney, you got all these young cats, right?
He's my favorite right now.
I'm telling you, so Ryan has a good thing going for him because of his win on Saturday, the WBC announced that they're going to order Devin Haney to fight Ryan Garcia. So Haney can't get out of it, or else he's going to have to rescind his belt. So you're going to get a Haney-Garcia fight early in 2021. Then we're going to see which one of these young fellas is actually up for it.
And I was just watching a podcast with Haney and his dad, and they were talking about they want to fight.
No,
So
everybody, they have to
everybody says they want to fight.
Yeah.
We'll see it. But one thing I'll say, like, I like Ryan Garcia, and I think he's one of the best young fighters out there, if not the best. But we also saw in that fight, he got his chin
Chin.
tested,
Yep.
and he hit the deck. It was the first time we've seen that because usually he's knocking guys out early in fights.
Yep.
So when he gets up against a Devin Haney or a Gervonta Davis, he's going to have to be able to take a punch.
That's going to be a problem because see, so he fought a southpaw, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everyone said, well, that left hook that caught him on his chin, if Tank throws that, the fight's over.
He's not getting up.
He's not getting up, right?
Right.
So, but I will say this: the lightweight division has become the most exciting division.
Which was my next question, because we have all of these divisions. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody knows all of the division weights,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
which division do you feel is more just the best division right now to watch, the most exciting right now?
I still got to look. Right now, the most exciting division is still the welterweights because you got a lot of unfinished business. In fact, you got 2, possibly 3 Hall of Famers. No, you have 2 for sure Hall of Famers and possibly a third just in the welterweight.
Chad, what's up?
So Manning's guaranteed Hall of Famer. We know that, right?
Right.
But just think, in the welterweight division right now, the 4 belts, they're split up between 3 men, right? Errol's got 2. He's got the WBC, he's got the IBF, right?
Mhm.
Terrence Bud Crawford has a WBO, and Manny's the interim sitting on the WBA. This year, because Top Rank has the rights to Bud Crawford, right?
Mhm.
PBC has Errol. You got to get those 2 to fight, and you're going to get it because what's going to happen, Errol's going to fight Pacquiao, and the winner of that fight will get Bud Crawford. Because they have to get this welterweight thing figured out. Ever since Floyd left, everyone's been saying they're the best welterweight, right? But no one's proven it. So we're going to finally get that in 2021. So to answer your question, welterweight division is the best division.
Yeah, that's
the
what
lightweight division is what we're going to be talking about for the next 5 years.
that's what I was gonna say. I think that has the best talent and the best careers at this point so far.
Sure.
But when you look at, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo,
Yeah.
Gervonta,
Devin
Devin
Haney.
Haney. Devin Haney's my favorite. I like his swag, and not even from. I just like his swag. I don't know if he's the best boxer in that group. We'll see. Hopefully in a couple months, where he stacks up or where he ranks over this next year. But I think that's the most exciting, to your point, for the next five years.
So don't forget, up until Teofimo Lopez is an absolute dynamo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone said he's not ready for Vasily Lomachenko. Because in my mind,
Lomachenko's
I've seen all of Lomachenko's fights, right? Lomachenko, before that fight, was the pound-for-pound best fighter in boxing outside of Canelo Alvarez, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch the fight, it took Lomo about 6 rounds. Because usually you'll see Lomo download information. He doesn't throw a lot of punches in the first, second round.
Mm-hmm.
Teofimo kept putting pressure on him. Lomo's not used to doing that. And then by the time he got ready to walk Teofimo down, it was too late. Teofimo was up on the cards, right?
Yeah.
If they run that fight back, it's going to be really close. But like you said, you named off all those young cats. We just can't throw Lomachenko to the back. Lomachenko is still one of the top 10 pound fighters, right? But Teofimo Lopez is showing himself. I think Devin Haney and to a lesser extent, Garcia need to prove themselves, right? Because Tank is ready, right? Tank, now is he the best boxer in the division? No, but he's got the heaviest hands in that division, right? For 135 pounds, he hits like a middleweight.
Yeah, and I think I saw Ryan Garcia posted yesterday on Instagram,
Yeah.
2 rounds.
You get 2 rounds, yeah.
Man, it might be 2 rounds the wrong way for him. Like
That's marketing. He
it's definitely marketing. Definitely marketing, but you gotta be careful. That could backfire.
Definitely. One thing I will say with Ryan, I do love with him giving all the credit to Canelo, saying I'm the way that I am because of you, just giving the props and respect and all that stuff. And so I just think that's great. And Canelo, I wouldn't say he's just one of the greatest in the world, but well, not like all time. Like of course he's like one of the greatest like right now. But I'm just basically saying like he's just to see a guy like that just giving credit to somebody like Canelo, saying that he's.
I'll just say this. So you can argue pound for pound who's the best. That's a difficult conversation, right?
Which I wasn't trying to just pull out of that, but I'm just saying just as of right now, because Canelo's still somewhat in his prime, if you will.
Okay, I got it. So here's the thing. A lot of people weren't hip to Canelo until about the last 4 years, right? They saw him fight an older Triple G, right? Triple G will be in the Hall of Fame, right? In fact, Triple G just broke a record. He defended his belt for the 21st time. That's how long Triple G's been in the game, right? So Triple G was often, the Eastern Bloc. We didn't really, like, there's this guy called Triple G. So by the time Canelo met up with him, it was too late in Triple G's fight, right? But Canelo, let me tell you why he's still, people realize Canelo's been through 3 different divisions. In fact, right now, Canelo left the middleweight division because he beat Triple G, had nothing left, right? Demetrius Andrade is not ready for him, so he went up to.
He's not middleweight.
Yeah, he went up to super middleweight, 168 pounds. And what has he done in just 2 fights? He snatched 2 straps, right? And he's coming for Billy Joe Saunders, who to me is the weakest champion in any division. And he's coming for one other guy. You know who that is? Want to take a guess?
Go ahead.
Caleb Plant. Ever heard the name before? Sweet Hands. So Caleb Plant took the IBF 2 years ago.
I actually did see his. I saw him fight not too long ago. Now that I think about it,
There's a cute chick on Fox.
Dwayne, what's
real,
up?
Real cute chick that's a broadcaster. That's his wife. That's most people know him as. But just 2021, I'm just going to say like this. The best fight you're going to see this year is probably going to be a run back. You're going to see Tyson Fury finally get his shot in Wembley at Anthony Joshua.
Okay.
He will win the fight. And the worst part about that fight is they're unifying the belts, right? Because Joshua has 3 of them.
Yep.
Tyson Fury has 1, right? Tyson Fury will not fight Deontay Wilder again until he fights Anthony Joshua a second time. Because when you unify the belts, there's a contractual agreement. You got to give him a chance back. So unfortunately, Deontay Wilder sits out there. He's got
not unfortunately. He did that to himself.
True. Because look, I'm not hating on Deontay, but he's gonna have to either fight Pulev, who just got his dome knocked off by Anthony Joshua last month, or he's going to have to fight Ortiz, who no one wants to see that again.
Right.
So the best fight of the year, if I get my wish list, give me Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. I want that number 1.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get it because the PBC and Top Rank aren't gonna give me that, but I might end up getting a Teofimo Lopez rematch versus Lomachenko, or the winner of Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia might get a shot at
Tank. Yeah, I think
maybe because Tank. It's just there's a lot of moving. That's the problem with boxing. Put these guys together, man. Make these guys fight.
See, and this is my biggest thing, and I'm just now, not more recently, I'll say, not like I'm probably in that group that you said, like the past 4 or 5 years, but there's so many politics with these different promotion companies and everything. That's my biggest pet peeve with boxing is this camp might not get along with this camp or might not, you know what I'm saying? This camp wants more of a percentage, you know what I'm saying? The money, and it's a big money sport, so that's my biggest pet peeve, but I'm loving what I'm seeing. I got a question for you. What do you think about the Charlo twins?
So Jamal is the heavier. Jamal is the actual. He's the middleweight. He actually has a strap right now.
Yeah.
He didn't win it, but he's an interim champion. That's another part of boxing. You got a true champion. You have an interim champion. But Jamal is the better fighter. Jamel just happens to be in 154 pounds. Because Jamel did lose. He came back and got his strap.
Right.
And there's no one there in the division for Jamel. There's just no one there.
Yeah.
So I like watching Jamal because Jamal is, I think he's 27-0 now. Heavy-handed. I mean, when he lands body shots, people drop, right? Yeah. His little brother is just a dog. I'll give Jamel that. Jamel is there's something in his eye. It ain't right?
Yeah.
You put him in that ring, though.
I think that's that little. He got kind of the little brother syndrome because they're twins, but he is the smaller one.
Yep.
And people say he hears it too. That his older are the bigger brothers, the better fighters. So I see that too. That's dope.
Dwayne got in the comments and said, "What do you think of Stevenson?"
So here, thank you, Dwayne. So Shakur, I'm gonna tell you what's so beautiful about him.
Oh, I didn't mention Shakur. I'm sorry.
So we haven't had what we need to have is just have the top 10 pound for pound. When we start looking at that, Shakur would come in there, right? So Shakur just stepped up from featherweight.
Okay.
Shakur Stevenson is only 22 years old, right? He hasn't even grown into his man weight, right? So Dwayne, give Shakur 3 years and he will be the bona fide best pound for pound fighter in boxing. Because think about it, Crawford's getting older, right? Errol is gonna be there, but Errol is not going to be able to prove it many times because they're not going to get in the ring together, right? With a lot of welterweights. But Shakur Stevenson, he is probably the most, no doubt about it, he's the most gifted boxer right now. His skill set, he can slide, he can slip. Lomachenko's right there with him, but Shakur, when he finally gets that power in his hand, I'm telling y'all, pound for pound, Shakur Stevenson 3 years from now, and he has the smile and the personality to go with it. The women love him, the dudes hate him. That's how you become the top pound for pound boxer.
Good combination right there.
It is.
Now, question for you. So, are you into the Floyd match next week or next month?
I'll watch it, but I'm not. Like it's so many good real fights that are going to come up this year that this one
is with the money grab. So
yeah, this is a money grab for sure.
Look, Logan Paul, whatever Paul brother it is, I don't even care. they're gonna get our money, right? Just like I did not. I mean, I'm a boxing purist. I didn't watch 1 second of Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Even though growing up, Roy Jones was my absolute favorite fighter, ahead of Tyson, ahead of Riddick Bowe, ahead of Lennox Lewis. Because Roy Jones was amazing, but they're diluting the true sport of boxing, and I have a problem with that because up until about 6-7 years ago, boxing was gone. UFC had taken the crown for combat sports, right? I actually sent on Instagram. I sent a text to Top Rank and to PBC and said, "This is y'all's opportunity. You have all this talent. Take back the crown and put these boys in these rings. If you don't, you have this crap like this where guys are trying to siphon off. Because Floyd, no one marks better than Floyd, right? But Floyd, dude, he has no business being in the ring with that dude. Floyd could really hurt this young fella. But they're gonna pat around, take the money.
And this is the thing. And this is the other part I don't like about it. He's going into that ring, like you said, Floyd, and he's kind of just gonna pat around. But this guy, he's gonna come in here and try to really hit
knock
Floyd.
you out. Like
because he's trying to prove something to make more money.
Yep.
Floyd is just a quick money grab. I come in here and put on an exhibition, and he's like, I want to be able to market myself to get even more money.
And that's why I don't like it, because Floyd is putting everything on the line. Because Logan, whichever part it is, has nothing to lose. If he can even clip Floyd, everyone's like, whoa, he might actually be a real fighter. We might actually bring him in to actually fight, and I don't want that. He's not. He doesn't either. And then Floyd, if he does lose, let's say he gets caught, because it's still boxing.
And
he can get caught.
He's a bigger dude.
Logan is not a small dude.
I think he's like 6'2", something like that.
He would be like he's almost a cruiserweight, which is a 200-pound limit. He's up there, right?
Yeah.
If he clips Floyd, and let's just say something happened and Floyd gets knocked out, what does Floyd do now? He's gonna say, "Oh well, I took a dive." No, bro, because all the professionals never got to you, right? This dude, he's like, "Well, I'm old." So Floyd, you got enough money, bro. Just walk away. You don't need.
I will say this: I don't think the kid is gonna touch him, but there's a reason they say you got to punch his chance, man. And
boxing, bro.
Yeah,
it's the punch you don't see, right?
Yeah,
that's the one.
And everybody was saying it. They were saying it after the Nate Robinson fight. Boxing is not a sport you play.
No,
like it's not.
You do it full time.
And
it's then Logan. He actually trains like a full-time boxer.
Yeah.
Floyd out here in these streets on IG flaunting his money.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's a chance. That's why I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want it to end. I don't want it to go bad for Floyd.
We'll see. We'll see. I think that fight is February 21st. I think it is at some point like that. So we'll see that fight. All right. So let's get into some basketball before we're gonna finish out with the NFL and the wild card predictions and all that stuff.
Cowboys winning it all, baby.
Next year, Cowboys.
So Steph Curry, we saw him have 62 points. I believe it was on Sunday night.
31 shots. Don't leave that out. Think about that. On 31 shots, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah. So Steph is this is the year that if anybody has anything to say about Steph, being, of course, we know Steph is the best shooter I think we've ever seen. But if anybody has any questions about can Steph carry a team, this is going to be the year with Klay Thompson out. So I'm just going to throw it out there. Is Steph top 10 of all time right now?
Nope.
I don't think it's close. And I hope you guys watched or got a chance to listen to the last episode. We had some video issues, so it's not on YouTube or not on Facebook, but go take a listen. We had a great back and forth with Pretty Privileged Podcast.
Simulcast, by the way, I forgot to mention that. So they were there for the whole episode.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And they I'll put it out there, even if you didn't get a chance to watch it. I was hard on Steph. And one of the things I said was, we know Steph can score. And this is what he showed us. and if you ask me a different question, is he the best shooter I've ever seen? Yes, he is, hands down. Better than Reggie Miller, better than all these guys. Because he can do it off the dribble, he can do it off the screen, he can do it on the move, he can do it from wherever, all these things. But when you bring in top 10, we're talking about Wilt. We're talking about MJ, we're talking about Magic, we're talking about Kobe, we're talking about LeBron, we're talking about Shaq, like he's not even that Larry Bird. We're talking about people whose career, right? Like left and this is 50 years ago for some of those guys.
Yep.
I do think though, and I'll say what I said last week, Steph Curry changed the way basketball is played. Steph Curry and the Warriors changed the way basketball is played. They got kids pulling up from 30 feet in elementary school.
Terrible fundamentals.
Yeah.
Terrible.
and they changed the way that basketball is now being officiated. Like everything has changed. A lot like we saw in football. Like the receivers and the quarterbacks are protected. Well, the shooters are the same way now. Like you can't touch them. You can't. And he's benefited the most from all this.
And that's a good parallel. So the NFL used to be you had the best running back and you won, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the NBA was you had the best center or the best power forward, right? So you're right. When Shaq left, it left a void in the big man game, right? And then the two guards and now Steph, they've taken the mantle, and it is a spread game now, right?
Mm-hmm.
No more triangle. It's get you guys spread out. But to back up your point, when you start talking about top 10, so I think about all the awards that Steph Curry has, right? Steph Curry has more team choice awards than he does defensive awards, right? He hasn't won.
You're talking about defense. It's
Well,
not.
if you're a top 10 player, you
Yeah.
cannot. So the NBA has had thousands and thousands of players, right?
Right.
Players. You cannot be a top 10 player if you've never been on an All NBA defensive team. I'm sorry, right? Because to be a two-way player is to be a player, right?
That's
Allen
Thank
Iverson.
you for saying that.
Allen Iverson.
Oh my God.
Pound for pound is the most efficient scorer I think we've ever seen, right? Pound for pound, but that doesn't make you a better player than Charles Barkley.
Right.
Doesn't make you a better player than Larry Bird. I mean, when you start talking about the top 10, bro, that's a whole separate conversation. And I'm sorry, Steph, even if he goes another 4 seasons like this,
It's gonna be hard for him to get.
here's the thing, just start at the top. Who is he? Is he better than Mike? Is he better than Will? Is he better than Magic? Is he better than Larry? Right? Then you just keep going down from there. I mean, is he even better than Dirk?
That's what I was gonna mention, and I'm glad you brought that up. Let me say something real quick. If I'm giving Steph, and I don't think D-Wade's top 10, but if I'm
he's not top 10.
if I'm giving Steph this much credit for changing the way basketball is played, you mentioned Shaq, and then there being a void.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we don't see a Dirk Nowitzki, if we don't see somebody, a 7-footer come in shooting threes, like he posted up, but that was like he wasn't bullying anybody. You know what I'm saying? And now all you see, you only see three centers in the league.
Transcended the game.
And even those three, even Joel Embiid, even Jokic, they're all shooting threes. So
Giannis, you know what I'm saying? Where's he living?
Well, he's not shooting threes. He's shooting. Yeah.
But he's trying.
Yeah, he's trying because you have to have that in the game now to beat. And I'm glad you brought him up. And then I'm also glad you said it's like two-way player is the most irritating thing to me in the world. Like,
thank you. I hate that saying.
You talk about two-way players. We're talking about Charles Woodson. He played 2 ways. Deion Sanders lined up on both sides. He played 2 ways.
They were players.
Basketball, then you just play. You got to play on both ends. You're not a quarterback. You're not a defensive back. You're a shooting guard. You're a small forward. You're a point guard. You play both sides. There's no such thing as a two-way player. You just play basketball.
And you know what? There's no top 10 player in the NBA where after they got done scoring on the end of the court, when they came back down, they were a liability. Not a one, right?
Ooh.
So Steph is a liability in playoff time.
Glad you said that. We got a question. Dwayne hopped in again. The question shouldn't be about his shooting, but his ability to play point guard.
That's what I said too.
Which makes you a player, right? Because his dad, Dale Curry, was dead on shooter, right? But he couldn't play defense, couldn't run an offense. He wasn't a player. He was a specialist, right? Mm-hmm. Steph is a specialist. Now, don't get me wrong.
He's a really good specialist.
His handles are unearthly, right? But it doesn't make him a better player than the other top 10 players.
Oh, Mark is calling you out. He said Dirk played defense. And did Steph lead the league in steals in 2016?
And Dirk did play defense. I think if we really want to take a look at who they defended, Dirk had to defend a lot more guys than Steph has had to defend.
Yep.
Because let's be honest here.
Klay
Thompson is the one who's guarding the best guard on the other team. So
sometimes Iggy would. Sometimes Iggy would drop down and take the ball.
Yeah, they had Harrison Barnes before him.
A lot of nights.
So it's not like and I'm glad you brought up Iggy. MVP of the finals?
Thank you. Where's top 10 players don't
what?
They're not missing out on being the MVP of their own finals.
Was Dennis Rodman ever the finals MVP?
Oh, wait a minute. Wasn't KD finals MVP too? Okay, I thought so too. So
and Mark.
And they
bring that back.
And they gave Iggy the finals MVP for the defense he played on LeBron, who averaged a triple-double with 30 points that series.
So Steph still can get the MVP scoring 30 a game. So I think when you start talking, here's the thing: when you start talking about the mantelpiece of the top 10, that's very, very rare air, right? There's a hell of a lot of good players between 11 and 20, but they're not 1 through 10. It's just not.
Hey, even 1 through 50. If you're a top 50 player that ever played the game of basketball, like, because this is, I mean, yeah, we think about the NBA, right? And there's 300, 400 guys in the NBA every season, right?
Years, man, decades.
And then, but you got to think, like, there's thousands of guys overseas trying to play basketball. Like, you're the best 50 ever?
Yeah.
Like, take that and run with it.
There's only one person that's ever actually complained about being top 50. That was Scottie Pippen. You know, he actually, but you know, I feel Scott. He's got a lot of, got a lot of insight. He's got a lot of trauma.
Before we get to the next, we're gonna get into some Paul George in a second. But so D Wade, I just got to put this out there. Is D Wade top 20?
I don't even think he's top 20. I don't. No, Dwayne Wade was a flash. His name was Flash, right? He was a flash in the pan because everyone says, "Oh, he changed Miami." He came at a good time, right?
A great time.
Now, the Mavericks laid down and gave them that championship. But when LeBron showed up and Chris Bosh showed up, that was no longer Dwayne Wade's team.
Right.
In fact, he was the third option. They were going to LeBron and then drop it down to Chris.
And he got Shaq's last real effort, too.
Thank you. His last productivity.
Because we saw Shaq as soon as when he went to Cleveland and the Celtics and Phoenix. After that, it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same. But I say the same thing for him is part of the reason I said about Steph. Like, Steph, we have to literally discount the first 6 or 7 years of his career to even have this conversation. Like, the last 5 years, well, not last year because he was hurt, but the last 4 to 5 years before that is what is all we're talking about. Like, they completely forget he averaged 15 points in his third year.
Thank you.
They completely forget that.
It was good.
This didn't happen until Clay came, until Mark Jackson started changing it. But then when he got the complete ultimate green light from Steve Kerr is when he made this next step. And you got, bro, if you've ever played a game of basketball, if you have two guys that can shoot coming together, setting a screen for each other, or just even crossing, they don't have to screen, there's going to be a problem because you don't know which one to take.
Yep.
Because they both can pull from 30.
Because every shot that every time Steph didn't get the pass, or they double team Steph, hey, you got the second best shooter in the league who's also wide open. So there's not much. And then a guy in Draymond who's often forgotten in this whole conversation, who's one of the best facilitators at that forward position that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, even people forget Barnes used to sit in the corner and just knock them down, and then come down and lock down your best on the ball offensive player. So to your point, Steph, when he blossomed, every role was filled, right? Michael Jordan was clearly the best player in the NBA long before he ever won a playoff game, right? You could see it. Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, right? Akeem Olajuwon. See, I didn't even bring up Akeem. Y'all talking about Steph. Get out of here, bro. Stop.
And that's the thing. Like, I'll refer to this episode because we had a good conversation about it. But Steph had the perfect system.
Yes. Yep.
When you can't help off of anybody in a league where you can't touch anybody, like they had the perfect system, and that's why it works. And when those spots are filled, that's why they're scrambling like heck after KD left. They went after Wiggins, they went after Oubre, they went after all these guys trying to fill that third spot because it's so important. If I have somebody I can help off of, now all of a sudden him and Clay aren't as effective.
And you know what? Now we'll give Dwayne Wade credit for that. That's probably the best thing he ever did, was he figured out, you know what? What's wrong with having 3 superstars? Because now we look at it.
Figured out a way to make it work.
That's the new standard now. There hasn't been a team win a championship that hasn't had 3 superstars except for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They had 2. They had Kyrie and LeBron, but they didn't have a third. So,
and we see what Kyrie has done outside of his time with LeBron by himself.
Right.
Up until this year, I got them in the finals. I think that Spencer Dinwiddie injury hurts him a lot, but I do have him and KD as one of the top duos in the league right now. And my pick in the East in the finals, depending on how they survive that injury. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But the point guard question, I don't think Steph makes a whole bunch of people better. So he doesn't create shots for others. He doesn't like it. And it was weird to me because seeing him play at Davidson, he did that. Like he did that amazing. He had 4 stiffs around him, and they were competitive.
That was at Davidson. He did it.
True.
He did do it in March Madness, but to your point about the Nets, right? The Nets will get to walk into the NBA conference, the Eastern Conference Finals, because look at Toronto. They're 1-5, right? They're playing terrible ball right now, right? There's some weakness in the Eastern Conference.
Wait, somebody said Dame was better than Steph?
No, it was asking, what do you guys think? Do you guys think Dame is better? That's what Mark was saying. Mark is a big Warriors fan, so all of this.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Now, I will say this. Dame still gets slept on, bro. He's got more dog in him than possibly anybody in the NBA. But no, he's not better than Steph. Steph has better handles. Steph has better basketball IQ. Steph's a better shooter. Dame's a better defender, and Dame is better at the rim. He's tougher. He finishes stronger, right? But he's not better than Steph.
I'll see.
It's tough.
Percentage-wise, he's right there with Steph, though.
Well, okay,
Shooting percentage.
So,
and he takes
talking about
tougher
the
shots than
stats?
Steph.
Remember we talked about the stats with the top 10, right?
Yeah.
When you put your eyes on it, who's a better point guard? Is it Dame or is it Steph? Point guard.
I think Dame's a better point guard.
I got Dame.
You do?
I think.
Okay, and I agree. Point guard because he runs the offense better. Because
Right.
Steph doesn't actually run an offense.
Exactly.
But who's the better shooter?
I'll get Steph.
Who's
I think Steph is the best player.
Who's the better
shooter.
passer?
I think Dame.
I think Steph. It's
I
close.
think it's about even. It's very, very
close.
close.
But I think they're, and that's why I
But
think
see, this is the thing.
And also, too, you got to look at who has to do more.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not an argument. I would
Because
never do that.
I mean, shoot, when you got KD for what was it, 3 years, and you got the one of the other best shooters play, you have a great team.
Okay.
And when you look at the Blazers have always been that team that's been always 8, 9, 10 seed in the West, and even still now with the team they have now with Melo. I mean, I love them, but I mean, what else?
Did we do that to Michael Jordan? Did we say, hey, Michael Jordan's not the best because he has Scottie Pippen and he has these specialists and B.J. Armstrong and Steve Kerr and
But
John
back
Paxson?
to your point, we look, like you said, defensively.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan still guarded the best players. Michael Jordan still did everything,
Right.
and on top of that, he was getting these MVPs too.
And I said Dame's a better defender. I said that off top.
And this
did.
is why I say I think Dame is a better player. Not shooter. I think Steph's a better shooter.
Of course, yeah.
Because Dame has and don't get me wrong, Steph is high on that scouting report too. But teams go into the game stopping Dame to stop Dame. Like we'll let CJ get 60 tonight. If Dame gets 20, we got a chance to win. That to me, how they stacked it, like Dame said, I had to start pulling from that deep because the double team kept coming higher and higher.
And that's a Portland problem in the front office, right?
Yeah.
They've done a poor job of putting talent around him. And CJ, for what he is, he's really not that great of a Robin, right?
Right.
And I still say, we're looking at Steph today with the terrible haircut and all that now, a little older. But, 3 years ago, no one was saying anything about, because Steph was in a whole different stratosphere 2 or 3 years. He was literally just dropping 40 points by third quarter, right?
But see, you can't fool me with that though, because
I
I remember Steph when he didn't have that
I believe
system.
you.
When
Right.
he didn't have that,
Right.
when he was in a situation similar to Dame, he wasn't doing what
But
Dame
he was
doing.
also 120 pounds soaking wet back then too. So he wasn't as
Dame was
developed.
140.
No, Dame has always been. Dame's got some dog in him.
Damian hopped in and he said, Dame is a better point guard than Steph. Let's be honest, Steph is an undersized, unathletic 2 guard.
He's
And
not.
also-
He's definitely not a 2 guard because Steph's not big.
Steph's
two guard.
about a good 6'2", 6'3".
It's like Allen Iverson. It's
now
like CJ McCullough, for example. He's not 2 guard size, but he's
No.
a 2 guard in skill set.
His game, yeah.
So I get it.
And also, too, Mark said that Pippen guarded Magic after Game 1.
Pippen, but
That's why I said Michael had a system. Michael didn't have to do everything. He was the best player, but he had some nights off because he has the best defender, on the ball defender
Mark,
we have ever seen in
I'm
the NBA.
gonna call Mark out though. Yes, he did, and that's a Phil Jackson being a smart move because in the fourth quarter, Mike will go guard whoever he needed to guard.
Yep, he's conserving energy.
So when you see those last possessions of those series with the Jazz, for example, the last possession where he gets that steal right before he hits the shot over Brian Russell. So he's guarding John Stockton, doubles down and gets the steal on Malone in that sequence that we never see. We always see the shot.
Right.
But he's guarding Stockton before that.
That's right.
So, yes, and that's just smart. Why would I have...
He used to guard Reggie too. People didn't realize he used to guard Reggie in the fourth quarter. Michael never strayed away from that. Now, that's the thing. Steph, and that's why I said, remember, I'm not trying to put Steph in the top 10. I said Steph is not that great as everyone's trying to put him legendary, but he is still a point guard. But it
always sounds like you're down talking somebody when you don't put him as a
right. I'm not
best ever.
scared,
Like,
but he's just number one in that
GOAT.
area. Yeah,
but that's just a smart coach. Why would I have him? I need him to score 40 points. Why would I have him chasing around the best player on the other team for 4 quarters?
You mean kind of like how Steve Kerr was smart to put Iggy on the best player, I mean,
It just makes sense.
It makes sense. Why wouldn't you, right?
And Kawhi with LeBron, Kawhi got an MVP out of that too. So
Yeah.
But all right, so let's get into some other NBA. So Paul George, he was called a soft ass N word by
That was
Devin Booker.
Devin
Yeah.
Booker.
So
Yeah.
do players look at Paul George like he's just like has he lost his respect with the players at this point?
I don't think he ever had it. Yeah,
I think Pacers Paul George did. But I think when he started hopping around trying to go from team to team and trying to build somewhat of a super team and tear down the
maybe I'm
Lakers.
biased. I have never liked PG.
Really?
Oh, you're a little biased then.
I think I'm a little biased. I never, and I'm not saying like I'm a soothsayer, I can see the future, but when he was in Indiana, I said something about that dude's personality don't sit right. He doesn't have enough like cojones for me, right? And
Yeah.
he looks soft back then. Way before him trying to make the super team and doing all that. But Devin Booker has a point. Because, see, we have never played in the NBA, right? We're fans, right? Those dudes, they're like, you respect the people at your job that you work with every day because you get to see what they do every day, right? You see them behind closed doors. These players see PG3 every day. No one respects him. Can you think about it? He's not the first person to talk to him crazy to his face, even in his own locker room. I mean, there were some rumblings over the offseason. Him and Kawhi ain't really there because Kawhi was like, y'all traded all that for this? Y'all brought me in for this?
Yeah, and it's showing that he can't necessarily take over games. When you get a superstar at because what do you say? Paul George is maybe top.
He's an all-star.
He's an all-star. He's an all-star. I've never given him super.
He's
top 20.
Around that.
10,
But
12,
but still, from somebody of his stature, you should at least be able to somewhat take over games when you need to, even if Kawhi is out.
So this is the thing. Paul George can take over games.
He has the ability.
Paul George doesn't take over the games that they need him to take over. And that's what gets put under the spotlight. I don't know about the respect thing. I think it's a lot of fake tough guys in the NBA. And I think rightfully so, my guy Devin Booker has a chip on his shoulder, and he's playing like he does right now. Because Devin Booker is in that same category as Bradley Beal, like it's been overlooked, and they're both guys that are all-stars to me.
Yep.
And so, in that situation, they're all soft. Nobody's fighting in the NBA. Like they're all soft. I don't. But I don't. Paul George
disrespect me, call me.
Yeah,
but that's more so the point. But go ahead.
Draymond Green called KD a B word on the same team.
Well, Draymond from Michigan, so Draymond's got a whole different gear.
Yeah, but look at Draymond now when everybody's gone, and he has to be Superman last year.
Right.
And oh wait, I got a hurt wrist. I can't play anymore. Mr. Tough Guy, like.
Well, that's a business decision, right?
But I'm saying, this is basketball. You telling the best guy on the planet, arguably, that he's a B. Well, you need that B word. So.
Well, look, none of these guys are the bad boys of I mean that level of the game is gone, right? But inside of your work, inside of your profession, there's the respected, there's the mediocre, and there's the people that they don't really feel you, right? I don't think in the league people like PG. I don't think they do.
And I don't know. I think before PG got hurt, I think he had a lot of respect in the league. When he was on that USA team, when he got hurt his leg, I think he was one of those guys, and he was just a product of LeBron James in the East.
Yeah.
There was a lot of guys, a lot like Mike. Like people were excited when Mike retired that first time because they had a chance to win something. A lot of guys in the East was excited when LeBron left the East, but he had a 10-year span, as we all know, where you weren't going to the finals if you were in the East. I don't care if you were Paul George. I don't care if you were Dwayne Wade when he wasn't on your team. Like I don't care who you were. And so as far as like taking games over and stuff like that, we see the other day he scored like 15 straight. Like he still has the ability to do so. Yeah. In the playoffs, he doesn't.
The playoff P is.
And maybe that's what Devin Booker was talking about. Maybe not he's soft, like literally like physicality,
right.
but his mindset.
Right.
And I think, and now I will say this. I know we can't take shots at people for mental illness, right? Because that's a real thing, right? Mm-hmm. And he had a breakdown inside the bubble mentally, right? I don't think it's fair to call him soft for that, but I'm not using that. I'm literally saying when it's crunch time, he has the ability, but he doesn't turn the light on, right?
Right.
There's other players with less ability to have a better mindset that get more done in the last 5 minutes. I think that's why people call him soft. They're like, man, stop talking, bro.
But if I'm
ain't doing anything.
On the same token, if I'm Paul George, I've never seen you in the playoffs, Devin Booker. So you can't.
We'll get. I mean, he did get drafted by the Phoenix Suns.
And he's young. He's still young.
Yeah.
Oh, so he gets all these excuses.
No, it's one comment that they caught on camera really, really nice, right? That's why we're making. I mean, we saw it. But
Every top 10 pick goes to a bad team. So what? If you don't go to the playoffs,
and how many of those teams goes to the playoffs?
None of them.
Okay, so
and how many of them do we give a pass for? None. That's why John Morant almost taking this team to the playoffs is a big deal. That's why this is such a big deal.
Well, John is a different kind of now Booker, outstanding shooter and scorer, right? But John's got a different athletic, like whole different generational spin, right?
Right.
Even when Devin was at Kentucky, he was a shooter. No one ever talked about his defense. He was a cold, lights out shooter.
Right.
He still is. But cold, light out shooters don't take teams to the playoffs because Steph didn't do it until he had the other pieces around him. So I'm going to give Book a chance, but we're going to see how this thing plays out because PG now has a target on his back.
Oh, yeah.
The rest of the season, he needs to play with a certain chip on his shoulder, or we're going to say, you really are that punk.
So, sticking with targets on their back, the Brooklyn Nets. I think that everybody is picking them. Well, not everybody, but a good chunk of people picking them to make it out the East and go to the finals. Just recently, I believe it was on Sunday again, seeing both Kyrie and KD each of them miss last second shots. And I just think back before the season started where he's on a podcast, Kyrie is, and he's saying, oh yeah, well shoot, I'm finally on the team with somebody that can make that shot too.
That I trust to make that shot.
And yeah, which was more so a shot at LeBron. So what do you think of, for one, what do you think of the comments and do you see them having any issues going forward?
Kyrie is an outstanding basketball talent. Always has been. I'm a Duke fan. I got to see it up close. And even with the Cavaliers before LeBron got there, talented, right? But no one takes anything that Kyrie says seriously because the dude thinks the world is flat, right? We just got to just let Kyrie spout off and just enjoy his craft, what he does, and disregard what he says because no one even pays attention to what Kyrie says.
That's a fact. I don't think this means anything. They both miss shots, but we've seen both these guys take and make tougher shots in bigger games.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, so it's not like in the finals even.
Kyrie
so,
and
KD. Like I seen Kyrie hit that same step back over Steph to win a finals game, or over Clay to win a finals game. I've seen KD hit that shot over LeBron to steal finals game.
It's one game.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think they're overlooking it, and we shouldn't. As far as the comments go, I think Kyrie knew what he was doing. He's being coy. He knows that that's the matchup everybody wants to see. I think he's poking at it a little bit because Kyrie said it after he left. Hey LeBron, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how hard it was to leave the franchise. I didn't understand. I apologize for that. So I think this is some competitive banter, maybe poking at the bear a little bit.
Some pettiness.
Some pettiness for sure. But like you said, he's really good. He just hasn't been the guy to lead his team all the way because it's not easy to do.
Everyone can't do that. Yeah. Everyone cannot. Everyone's a lot of people that are talented. They just can't always take an organization to the promised land, right? We get spoiled because we saw Kawhi do it twice, basically, in less than 2 years. You literally plug them into a team and off they go. That's not normal.
But to that point, though, too, we also seen that team go right back to the playoffs and win a lot of games the year after he left. So, like, you're putting him in decent situations. You know what I mean? The Clippers were a really good team before he got there. And the crazy part with Kyrie is the Celtics might have been better without him.
Yeah. I think everyone knows that because Kyrie needs the ball.
He's a ball stopper.
He's a ball stopper.
Celtics have a great young core that you get it. No,
I don't know. I'm moving off the Celtics. Jason Tatum, outstanding, but I'm moving off.
And Jaylen Brown, both of them are really good.
But I don't see them. I just don't see it.
I do think they have a small window because Jason got his money, but Jalen's coming up too, and I don't think that when it comes time, some pieces, Gordon left and he got his money, but I just don't see that core staying together for too long because
I just don't see them winning. I don't. Again, when you got the Nets that have two superstars, the Celtics have a superstar and a really good all-star in Jaylen Brown, right? You only have so much firepower to go around, and when you get in the playoffs, it's about matchups, right? The Celtics don't match up well. Who's their on the ball defender? They don't really See,
Smart will foul out. Don't worry about it.
or if he doesn't foul out, he'll get teed up twice, right? So
after him, it's Jalen. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you can't have your second best player be like the defender all the time, too.
And the other part is they both do the same things well.
Right, they're like the same build.
They're
same
damn near the same player,
They're
maybe
the
2
same.
inches separating them.
Right.
So they need the ball in similar spots. They need it's just tough. Like I'm with you. I don't see it. I think they'll both be good on their own and great pieces for another championship level team maybe.
Yep.
But I don't see them coming out the East. I've never been high on the Celtics. But I am high on those guys. It's one of those things I was talking about earlier. I think they're both great. I just don't see it as a team.
And that's the thing. And Brad Stevens, I don't. How long do you wait if you continue to get to? I mean, but they did get to the. They get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Eastern Conference, or
with the piece they just lost, right?
Yeah.
He left. So they had a threesome. They had a combo, right?
And they got smacked too. I think they won one.
And Gordon Hayward was the piece that kind of tethered them together because he was the one that did something different. He's the one that spread the floor. He's the one
he did things that allowed the other two to lift their game, right? But that third piece in Gordon is gone. Just like the Rockets. The Rockets have always had two really good players, no matter whether it was Chris Paul and Harden or Russ. But they just
can't figure it out.
And I think the Celtics, they're at that point now.
I think the Rockets, if they were going to do what they did when they brought in CP, when they brought in Russ, they should have paid Clint Capella. I think if him being there with those guards would have changed the game. Like not having PJ Tucker as your center.
I said PJ has to guard all the bigs.
Yeah, I love PJ.
I do too.
Spreads the floor. I mean, yeah.
But then he's not. When they got rid of Capella, I was like, they took away their ball defender, like the rim defender, right? And they took away the guy that could stretch out and make their defense tougher.
Yeah.
PJ, I mean, he's tough, but he's not tall enough.
And shout out to PJ Tucker for one. I'm a sneakerhead, and I love what he does with the sneakers on the court.
Yeah.
But for two, he's a 6'4" guy that when he came into the league was really just a defender. But to carve out a lane for himself, I think 14, 15 years in the league now. Shout out to you, bro.
He became a shooter because he wasn't a shooter early on in his career.
Best corner 3-point shooting percentage in the league.
He grew into that. So
Carlin hopped in the comment. He said Woods is better than Clint.
He is better than Clint from a skill set, but what Clint did was set the screen, defend,
and athletic.
That's what he didn't take the ball out of James' hands at all, which was good because I mean that's when he was averaging his triple doubles when he had Clint. But I'll also say I think it was Mark. Shout out to you. I'm so big on freaking Trae Young. I agree with you.
Dwayne.
It was Dwayne?
Yeah, Dwayne.
Okay, shout out to you, Dwayne.
Yeah.
I'm huge on Trae Young. I think he's top 2 or 3 point guards in the league right now. Don't at me.
That's high praise, man. That's high praise.
He's been saying that for a while now. So
I haven't seen anybody in the second year in the league average 30 and 10. I haven't seen it personally.
He's super talented. I mean, he's a scorer. And then we're going to get back to that whole step.
He don't play no defense.
I'm gonna say he's a scorer. It's that same thing. He's a point. He's a scoring point guard. He's not a facilitator, but he's a scoring point guard.
Right.
Much like Steph.
No. So this
Yeah.
is what I'll say, and kill me for this, whatever. I think Trae Young is better than Steph Curry, but I think there's no Trae Young without Steph Curry.
Because Trae got to pattern his game after Steph and be better at it, just like
exactly.
Not the Kobe is not better than Mike, but Kobe got to pattern his game.
He had the blueprint. Yeah.
He had the blueprint, right? We've seen people become what they are because of other players. So I agree with that.
Right.
All right, so let's get into some NFL. We got some of this wild card action to get into. But first, I want to say we got rid of Anthony Lynn.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
Go for it. Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy. I just said Trae Young's better than Hall of Famer. But if you just isolate Steph Curry's first 2 years in the league and look at Trae Young's first 2 years in the league, it's almost disrespectful to Trae Young to compare him to Steph Curry at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm looking at when I say
With
that.
similar setups, both teams were bad.
Bad teams.
But one of the players had progressively a much better individual statistics with said terrible team, where the other one did not.
Right, and that's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
So maybe he doesn't have the career Steph had because things worked out and it played out the way they did. But I'm just saying, year 2
skill set,
it's not even close.
Yeah.
So because you hop back into that, we got a comment in here. Top 3 point guards in the league right now.
Gosh, dog, here we go.
You said top 3 point
Top
guard?
3 point guards in the league right now.
You want mine?
Good. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, is LeBron a point guard? He led the league in assists last year.
I mean,
That's the thing. That there's really the point guard. We don't know. There's not really a true point guard anymore because we allow everyone to bring the ball up, right? Like LeBron brings the ball up.
Well, LeBron's a point guard. LeBron's a passer. He's a facilitator.
But he's not a point. He's not a point guard. You can't be 6'8", 240 talking about I'm the point guard.
yeah.
Magic
Magic
was a
was,
point
yeah.
guard because Magic was a point guard in position his entire even at Michigan State.
Now, if Magic was as athletic as LeBron, do you still let him play point?
That's the thing. Magic did not have the lessons, but he was a point guard in a
Small forward, power
a small
body.
forward that eats a little too much potatoes body, right?
Right.
LeBron is
Midwest boy.
that's just that we've never seen that before, and to be able to handle the ball like that's unfair. So, but to answer your question, I mean, you got Dame's there, no doubt, right? But then you start getting the weeds, like you said. Like, how many really great point guards are there? Right? Do we consider Harden a point guard?
See, I think LeBron's more than a point guard than Harden.
But I'm saying, but what is Harden? Is he your two? Is he the point? Because
well, they keep bringing in point guards, which tells me he's not a point guard.
He's always facilitating the offense though. Even when CP3 was there, because he's like, I don't want the ball. I'm facilitating the offense, that makes you the point guard. But he can't run an offense is different. But again, does Steph run the offense? No, he's
my
point guard.
top 3. I'm gonna go. My number 1 right now is the young boy right down the road, Luka.
Of course.
My number 2 is Trae Young. Number 3, I'll go Dame. I like Dame.
Because I got Luka and Dame, but I can't find a third one.
Actually, CP's still playing.
But
CP's gotta be my.
That's what I'm saying.
CP is like my 3A, 3B.
That resurgence. You got that resurgence with CP, but
If we do a true point guards, I think Chris Paul definitely still at this point in his career.
That's the thing. That's why I said, what is a point guard? Because it's so difficult. Because a point guard is the person who brings the ball past half court and facilitates the offense. That is not always the guy who's literally when you do the roster at the beginning of the game, the guy that's the shortest dude on the field on the court, right? So
he said you can't say CP. All CP does is take bad teams to the playoffs, man. I'm telling you.
But he's amazing. He's in what, like 16th or 17th?
Yeah, he's right behind LeBron. He was over.
So LeBron's 18, so then he's 17 then.
He's like 15 or 16. He's a couple years younger than LeBron.
That's tough, man.
But still, I mean, we saw what he did at OKC. Everybody seems to forget what he did with the Hornets. I mean,
let me ask you this. So does he go? Do you put CP3 ahead of Jamal Murray?
Yeah. Jamal Murray.
Well, Jamal Murray not a point. Are we talking about points? Or?
Jamal Murray is actually
Jamal's a point.
He's a point, and so is Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons.
I'm just saying.
Ben Simmons is making threes.
I was bringing Ben there because if Ben could ever figure out how to shoot,
it's over for the league.
He would be that point. I'm telling y'all.
If Ben Simmons learns how to shoot, he's an athletic. He becomes an athletic Luka Doncic.
Yes.
And 3 inches
taller.
And
he's a point. And he has the handles. And he can get in the lane anytime he wants.
And the vision.
But he can't shoot, so he can't be the best point guard, right? See what I'm saying? It's a hard.
But I just think Jamal Murray's a point guard. I think what you see and this is what I guess I'll say to your question earlier, because they always have another point guard, whether it be I forget who's at a guard, but some teams run a 2-point guard system. Like you just have scoring point guards, and you have facilitating point guards. Like Donovan Mitchell, for example. Donovan Mitchell's a point guard.
But he's a scorer.
He's more of a scoring guard though. He's like a combo. Yeah. So they bring in a Rubio or a Conley
to facilitate and
to take the ball, take the pressure off of him. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like he's no longer a point guard. I don't put him in the conversation with Devin Booker, because Devin Booker is more of a traditional 2 guard. Like he's a scorer.
He's a straight shooter. And I'm just saying, Jamal did. We so quickly we forget. Jamal, now he's got Joker, but they took that team and ran that thing all the way through the Western Conference Finals. Like,
that was a squad though too. Yeah. And they're suffering from losing Jeremy Grant, and me and Chad talked about, and also Beasley. They lost Beasley too. Yep. They're not having the start that they thought they was gonna have this year.
It's early, so we're
it's early.
Games.
It is early, but I think that's gonna hurt them in the long run. That depth that they had, and then also people kind of learning how to guard you, because nobody was checking for them last year.
No,
even with the record they had.
Even being down in 2 different series.
Yeah, it was still Lakers.
Yeah,
They
were
were
down
3-1 twice.
Yeah.
And came back and cleaned them up.
Yep.
Twice. And like you said, you have game film on them, but you can't adjust in the playoffs that quickly.
Right.
But this is a different season, so we'll see how that plays out.
All right, let's get into this football. Marlon about to start looking at me crazy.
Yeah,
because he like to do 30-minute episodes. All right, so I'm gonna say no, we good. Chargers, we got rid of Anthony Lynn. Great guy. Definitely didn't help that we went 4-0 our last 4 games. But if I can have my pick, I want Eric Bieniemy. If he's smart, he won't.
Who doesn't want Eric?
If he's smart, he won't come because you got to go against Patrick Mahomes twice.
No, if he's smart, he stays where he's at because he doesn't want to go. Like, why would you leave? Look, Eric Bieniemy needs to only leave Kansas City for like 4 teams. Maybe the Patriots, just because they're cachet. Maybe the Steelers if Tomlin ever wants to leave. Like, he has his choice, his pick of the litter. He doesn't have to go to a 5-11 team just because they need a coach.
Put some respect on him.
Well, look, I don't want him to make the mistake that every coach that came out of New England did. Romeo Crennel, Josh McDaniel, they all were this hot coordinator that everyone kept calling around.
Dude from the Lions that got for
Patrick. So all of them were like these, and we're like, if I can take, because he's the coordinator, if I take him and put him in my team, but that's not the way it works. And Eric Bieniemy, like you said, he's in a perfect spot. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Unless you're leaving for a team that is set up. Now, the Chargers, they have a great young quarterback, but the rest of your team is.
We're gonna say good. Great is 5 wins. Great.
But see that you look at that. I mean, it's okay.
Why is Tom Brady go?
You're right.
So
he could be really good.
And I think he will be.
Have you watched film on him?
I watch every single game every Sunday, damn near every game.
To be fair, Josh Allen. No one was giving Josh Allen anything 2 years ago. Everyone was like, bad pick.
He wasn't giving him credit this year.
You bring in the right
as
coach.
An MVP.
You bring in Sean McDonough, and now all of a sudden everyone's like, oh goodness, it's all about the coach and the quarterback, right? Herbert needs the right coach because same thing. I mean, look at Denver, right? Denver has got, I don't know what, they've had 5 different starting quarterbacks that have been drafted in the last 3 years. Think about that. You've drafted 5 different guys in the last 3 years, and none of them are there because you don't have the coach there, right? So the coach is everything. Coaches, look, Sean Payton and Drew Brees, there you go, right? Belichick, Brady, there you go, right? It's Andy Reid and Mahomes forever, right? And Andy Reid did it with Donovan freaking McNabb, right? Because it's the coach, bro. So, but to get back to your question, y'all are gonna get that coach because nobody wants to go there. Sorry,
I know. And hey.
And I think you guys had a better chance of getting Eric Bieniemy if you were still in San Diego. We also have to remember. I think it does. Like they're second fiddle in that LA market, which is already oversaturated with sports teams.
Rams are clearly
the better
draw.
Well, you got you got the Clippers, the Lakers, the Dodgers.
Okay. Like, even just football, the Rams are actually a more well-loved team in LA. They have a base there. You guys aren't from there.
Okay, all right, guys.
I'm sorry.
You brought this up.
No, all I wanted to say was, if I had my choice, Urban's a guy that they were saying 12 mil maybe for him to go. Yeah,
and I think you have a better chance with Urban Meyer than
if anything, I think he'd probably go to Jacksonville. If anything.
Well, Urban has also seen what Nick Saban has done, right? And everyone's learned if you're going to leave college, you don't leave unless you have a good situation to fall into. Only problem is NFL vacancies aren't open for good teams, right? So you got to take a team eventually. And
I'll say it till the wheels fall off. Young quarterbacks get coaches fired, man.
Or that they get the right one, like up in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Like it can be a great marriage, but it's very difficult to find a coordinator who can develop a quarterback. Because not every coordinator, some coordinators are great play callers, right? But they don't develop the quarterback. That's the difference. You guys got to find a coach that's not just a great play caller, but can actually develop the talent.
Do you think that's the problem with the Rams? I think Sean McVay is a really good play caller.
I think he's a great. I don't think
Jared Goff has gotten any better over the last 2 to 3 seasons.
So part of that is we have a better look at their offense now. Because when McVay came in, everyone was like, "Oh!" Everyone started stealing his ideas, right? But yeah, I don't think Sean McVay is the best developer of a quarterback, but he's a hell of a play caller
and motivator too.
and motivator.
Yeah.
And you know, he's got that LA feel and it fit. But you're right, they haven't got better in the last 3 years. They hit the peak and now they're starting to regress. Right. That's why you got to get a developer. Like Andy Reid makes quarterbacks better. No one was checking for. I don't care what anybody said. No one was checking for Mahomes when he came out of Texas Tech his rookie year. Nobody. And anyone that says different, stop lying. Right? Show me the tape because no one did. But then all of a sudden, you get Andy Reid with this dude, and everyone says, "Oh, they got Tyreek Hill, and they got all this talent. They got Travis Kelce." There's been more talented receiver team in the history of the NFL, but they didn't have the quarterback and the coach to bring it out
together.
So you take Mahomes out of that
offense is not right now.
Right,
they in a situation where if Dak come back and he gonna have some pressure because
we got CeeDee Lamb official, right? Gallup has walked in and just grown into like literally a bona fide number one receiver that you need to actually cover, and then you still have Cooper over there, right? Look, we got a decent to great tight end considering the rest of the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you still got the problem is you got a running back problem now because now we don't know. What do you do with Zeke? Because
I don't think it's a problem.
I think they look good.
I'm not saying Zeke is gonna be the man, but if he plays like he played the last 2 games of the season next year, we're good. But I don't know what I think it really did mess with his psyche, right? When they took him out and put the young fella in and said, "There you go," and he's like, "Whoa, wait a minute," because he ran extra hard the last 2 games of the season.
This is what we gotta always go back to. He's rushing against 8-man boxes.
He did before, but when you have Gallup and CeeDee Lamb, those boxes aren't there anymore. Not 8-man boxes.
Yes, did you watch this year?
When
you had the first 3 quarterbacks playing, yes, it was.
You said this year, yes.
Yeah.
But Zeke had some lackluster performances before Dak got hurt. Zeke didn't start the season off well. He had some lackluster hole entry where you saw a hole and he didn't hit it, right?
We talked about this on the podcast earlier because the Cowboys led the league, or were last in the league, in second half rush attempts before Dak got hurt. A lot of it is because you're down and playing from behind, but a lot of that is like it weighed on Zeke's performance throughout the year. He's used to getting the ball 20 to 25 times a game. So it's and he's always been a groove. He's a second half guy. Like most bigger running backs. You see Derrick Henry at the end of the game this week where he ends up with like 200 yards or something like that. But bigger backs and stronger backs are built like that. They break down your defense. They beat on you. But when Tony Pollard came in this game and he's all of a sudden getting 20, 15-yard carries, the defense is completely different too because now you got Andy Dalton back there with this guy he's more of a receiving threat than Zeke.
Quicker to the hole.
I'll give him that. But as a defense, now I got to prepare for a lot of stuff.
Yep.
When Zeke is in the game, I'm stopping the run
for sure
because I don't think Andy Dalton can beat me.
And that's the thing. When Dak comes back, we will see what Dak is made of because we've now seen a Dakless offense. And like you said, you pack the box because Andy Dalton hadn't beat anybody in all his years in Cincinnati. He's not going to beat him now, right? When Dak comes back, there's a lot of pressure on that young man to earn his money because now everyone's going to say, wait a minute, you got all these receivers, you have a tight end, and
you got 2 backs.
So what may fail him is that aging, overpaid offensive line. Yep. And you look.
Because at one point, you guys did have one of the best.
No, it was the best. Young Tyron Smith, monster. But that's the thing. In the NFL, you only have a window with these caps, right? You got to get the players in. Look at Seattle. They took it. They still haven't won a championship since when they won
since Russ's rookie contract.
His rookie contract was costing them nothing. So that defense was packed, right? It's hard in the NFL to do that. So the Cowboys have to make a decision.
All right, so let's get into some of these wild card games. So
I'm so glad that Dalton performed the way he did because there were actually people that thought Dalton should be the starter over Dak. They were like, "Don't pay Dak. We got Dalton."
Yeah.
Until they got
what the heck?
Now you
guys
see
not
what you
watch
have.
football for the past 2
People
years.
are short-sighted. Because again, Dak, unfortunately he got hurt, but no one's even thinking about Dak. All they're thinking about is DiNucci and Dalton. Are like, look, Dalton's not that bad. Dak, the Cowboys were leading the NFL in yardage per game before Dak went out. Now they weren't winning, but they scored points. They put up yardage, right? If he comes back, I mean, the injury's going to be tough, but if he comes back lackluster, the Cowboys cannot sign that to a long contract. Not with that receiving core.
And I think they got to attack the defensive secondary in the draft.
You've been screaming for safety
That's been for years.
Since week one. He's been screaming just trade for what was his name, Earl?
No,
or
Jamal Adams, and
somebody,
Earl Thomas were both available this year.
Yeah.
But do you see what Jamal Adams does to that Seattle defense?
Even though he's had no interceptions, which is still mind blowing, he has no interceptions this year. But Jamal Adams changed the entire culture of the defense. Now, don't get me wrong, the first 5-6 games it was rocky.
It was bad.
But he figured it out. He became, their play caller on the field, and that's why they have a chance to win this weekend.
When you in football, it's really hard for one guy to change the team. But on the defense, that middle linebacker position and that safety position, when you have a guy like Jamal Adams, like Ray Lewis or Ed Reed or one of these types of players, a generational guy, that you can do it. Maybe not a corner, maybe not a defensive lineman.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it in LA with Aaron Donald, but he's different.
Well, Aaron Donald's
Aaron Donald.
Yeah, and I love the young boy in
But
Washington.
shoot, I mean, even when they got Jalen Ramsey changed the angle of that defense because they always had Donaldson, right?
Yeah.
But when they brought in Jalen Ramsey, it lets safety say, I can take a break back here on that deep third, right? Because young fellas got that whole side, right? So
and you give your defensive lineman another second to get to the quarterback.
Pressure
like your whole defense gets better.
And now, if the quarterback makes a bad throw, because now that pressure been put on, Jalen Ramsey can take it to the house, right?
And now 30 points is a win instead of a loss.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, so we done with the Cowboy talk?
Yeah, we can talk about the Chargers.
You talking about playoffs, Cowboys.
I know.
You brought it in. So.
All right, so the first game we have on Saturday, the Colts at the Bills.
Yep. That's going to be a retirement party for Philip Rivers.
He's right.
I think we may get an upset.
Okay, let me say. So everyone goes into these wild card weekends and they throw out these. Oh, I got an upset coming, but give me the actual reason because it can happen. But tell me why it should.
Because it's Philip Rivers.
Because I'm a Rivers fan, and I think if he's gonna retire, he's gonna get it this year.
Be the one?
Well, no.
And he doesn't.
No, he's not. Because also too, when you look at this Colts team, they play indoors, and you're gonna go in Buffalo. I don't know what the weather's gonna look like on Saturday. Definitely cold, but
T.Y. Hilton
I mean,
threatened anyone vertically in 7 years.
They've actually gotten a lot better. Their chemistry was off the first half of the season, and they've been getting it back together. Their running backs have been clicking. So, but the Bills are definitely a better team all around. It'll be hard for the Colts to win.
You're banking on the experience of Philip Rivers.
No, I want Rivers to win.
Who do you think is going to really win?
The Bills, but I
Okay,
want
say that.
Rivers.
Just say that.
I want Rivers.
You said upset. Don't do that.
You gotta understand, he likes Rivers and he's not very big on Allen, so that's why.
Well, you better come around Josh Allen because I mean
he's next up.
That dude's a house.
He's and also too with I think he may fall third, maybe in the MVP voting, but
well, he ain't winning because Aaron Rodgers is winning.
Rodgers is gonna get it, yeah, for sure. But
let me ask you this: we just seen it in the Heisman Trophy winning situation. Is Devontae Adams in the conversation at all?
Nope.
He should be.
Unfortunately, that can't happen. That cannot happen.
This should be, and I think you've actually mentioned it, the most valuable quarterback award. That's essentially what it should be.
Yeah. That's to your point earlier. The NFL is built around offense, right? And it's built. We market. Everyone on the commercials, every State Farm commercial is Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, right? There's a reason
and
why.
Chris Paul, you haters.
Yeah, and there's a reason why you can't even get close to a quarterback anymore because they are the team, right? So the best player is not always the MVP. The most valuable player on the team is typically the quarterback. Ask the Cowboys, right?
Unless your name is Derrick
Henry.
Mark.
Adams and Henry should be in that conversation. Adams
Henry
he's one of 5 receivers ever to have 18 touchdowns.
Okay.
Like, just think about that. Think about that.
Wait. So you're
it's
saying,
history.
No, it is. It's great. Oh, history. Historical moments. Okay, that's great.
Let's
say historical because here's the thing. I can think of a receiver right now who's athletically gifted more than pretty much anyone in the NFL, and that's Julio Jones, right? Why does Julio Jones not put up good numbers? It's not because he's not open.
Well, you got injuries.
No,
he's always hurt.
But also the
though.
quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Now Devontae Adams is wonderful, but Aaron Rodgers gets him the ball and puts the ball in places to let him do that. He doesn't have that season with Andy Dalton at quarterback in Green Bay. Is what I'm saying. So Devontae Adams is awesome, but
I think you're right. I think you're
Gotta have a
right.
quarterback.
Because Aaron Rodgers, don't get me wrong, I think Aaron Rodgers is in the conversation with Tom Brady
Absolutely
and
he
Peyton
is.
Manning for best
Yes.
quarterbacks of this era. But I don't think that they're where they are without Devontae Adams. He doesn't throw the ball to anybody else.
I agree.
You can. We
But
talked about this too. You will play to find a way to double team, or
Sure.
you find schemes
Doesn't matter.
mainly against Adams because he's the main person that he goes to, and he still finds a way to get.
Oh,
open.
and
And he still
wait.
finds a way to get 18 touchdowns in
Now,
the season.
and to give you that, it's because Aaron Rodgers is the best I think I've
He can't
maybe
catch it too?
ever seen at just keeping the play alive just long enough for his receiver to figure a way, and then he puts the ball 60 yards down the field, right, on a
On
different
the
hash,
run.
and so it goes both ways. I'm not taking anything away from. I'm just saying.
And I don't want to take nothing away from Rodgers, but
I just
that's
thought it was an interesting because we just saw the receiver win basically the MVP of college football,
Yep.
whose quarterback did a lot of the same stuff you're talking about.
Right.
And also Henry, we're getting 2,000 yards. I mean, but at the end of the day, it should be changed. And I actually argued with you because you actually mentioned this. It should essentially be changed to the best quarterback.
And it is. It's going to be that way because the NFL market is that way, right? But yeah, Henry should really get consideration because
The past 2 seasons, really.
without him, I mean, Tannehill's not doing anything.
They're not a playoff
They're
team.
not even there. So he's valuable. You take him out of the team, they don't have a team, right? But you can say the same for
Aaron
Patrick
Rodgers,
Mahomes. There's only a few players, but most of them happen to be quarterbacks. Devontae Adams, fine. Give him that nod as the best receiver in football who's not winning the MVP award. There you go. I'll give him that.
But maybe there should be like, I don't know, maybe it should be a position award because like
It's only right.
and I think that way should be in basketball too. I think there should be a most valuable player award and then a best player award.
Sure.
Because
Outstanding player.
Because
Yeah.
you can't tell me that Steph Curry and Giannis Antetokounmpo should have more MVPs than Kobe.
Of course not. But everyone, there's also some bias there too because Kobe, they didn't want him. Just like Mike. Mike should have had more MVPs, but you have to share the love when you're playing a really good era, right? You can't always be the best player that year.
No, he was the best player every year.
Who's that?
Mike for like 10
I know. So why did he get it?
And
Because
LeBron was the same way.
they can't let you be the
It's
best
voter
player.
fatigue.
Exactly. So to talk about a receiver changing the culture, look at what D Hop did when he left Houston. They didn't get worse. In fact, J.J. Watson actually stayed healthy this year, right? Deshaun Watson, outstanding season. But what was the difference? Oh, he didn't have Hopkins out there, right?
Oh, man.
Receivers can make and break a quarterback.
Shout out to my cousin, man, Austin. Oh, this was y'all year, you thought. All the weapons around them. Kyler Murray this, Kyler Murray that. But we're going to be watching Baker Mayfield this weekend, buddy.
Oh yeah, he was saying that they can win like 3 straight, or 4 straight actually. But all right, so let's go over to the next game on Saturday. The Rams. We were just talking about that. Rams and the Seahawks. I think this honestly might be the best game. It's going to be a. If we see the Seahawks that we saw in the first 5, 6, 7 games versus,
you're not going to see them though. You're not going to see this Seahawks team gets better with the season. And like you said, Jamal Adams has now put his footprint on this team. They're not getting gouged anymore for those long plays, right? And in fact, they're actually bending a lot, but they're not breaking. They're putting up more and more field goals and ending drives that way. So I don't think the Rams are going to go into Seattle and beat Russell Wilson on wild card week because that man has magic every wild card round.
I can't wait to see Jalen Ramsey and DK Metcalf though.
And I'll let you go in a second. I think if we got fans,
yeah.
If we got fans and
12 man,
that makes a huge difference. Same with Buffalo. Just the same with all these teams. So now the fact I don't think Seattle has any fans at this point, but definitely I think that's honestly going to be one of the best matchups and yeah, one of the better games.
I'm taking Seattle. Nothing against LA. I think LA is a good team, right? But Seattle, Russell Wilson does something in wild card rounds every year. You think about it, when's the last time you seen Seattle go out in the first round?
Not since he's been there.
It doesn't happen.
Sometimes they always have a bye. So yeah.
Well,
He's got magic in that arm. I'm telling you.
I think Russell Wilson is one of those players who just makes game-winning plays. Like as a basketball player, we did plus minus. So you would track things like tip passes, deflections, loose balls, things like that. And Russell Wilson is just one of those guys. Whether it's scrambling for 3 yards on third and 2, or or you
Not
know,
on the stat sheet.
the dump off to the tight end who was supposed to be in protection, but he avoids the sack and gets 10 yards somehow. Like, just plays that you don't see in the highlights necessarily, or don't show up big in the stat sheet, but they keep a drive going, or they, you know, I think it's almost to a fault because Carroll believes in him too much and should have gave Marshall the ball. But I mean, to his credit, like, we've seen him do it over and over again. So I don't know. I think I got the Seahawks.
And Dwayne hopped in and he said that Seahawks defense is better now that Dunlap and Adams, are back. So I mean,
and Adams set a record this year for safety sacks.
Yeah,
sacks by safety.
It was 8, wasn't it?
History, yeah.
Yeah.
8
you
or
know
9.
what? I know we get to the next game, but one of the things that still bothers me is that I'll never figure it out. 'Cause we talked about Michael Jordan was the best player, he didn't get the MVP every year, right? Someone please explain to me how Russell Wilson has never received a vote for MVP.
vote.
Now, he's never won one. He's never actually received a first place vote for MVP ever.
And you got the wrong people voting for these awards too. Let's say that too.
Yeah.
We got the wrong people voting for awards. We got the wrong people voting for
Broadcasters. Yeah.
But
we were actually fortunate enough to have one of the 50 voters on our podcast about.
See, now it looks like I'm taking a shot at him.
No. But I agree. When you look at, we need to at least figure out and sit down who's actually doing these votes.
Yeah.
And
So that makes
We
no
don't
sense.
need to sit down. We know who's doing it.
Well,
It's the writers, and they don't know what they're talking about. So,
So
I
think. All right, who you got?
Seahawks.
Seahawks. Already,
Okay.
yeah.
What's your point? Your last point.
My last point was about, I think it needs to be a situation where like coaches pick the second half of the All-Star game in the NBA. I think they need to vote for MVP or players or something like that. Like, that's it.
So
That's a good idea.
all right. So now we have.
No disrespect to the journalists out there, but it's just
Sometimes y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all good at writing though. Y'all really good at chronicling. You just don't know what you're talking about sometimes.
All right. So the Bucks and Washington. I was really hoping that the Cowboys won. And
there you go.
Washington lost, so then we can have a game here. Brady can come to Jerry's world. So, but I think this defense. I think I said this about 2-3 weeks ago that with Washington, I think that it's not going to be an easy blow win. It doesn't matter if it was Washington, the Giants, or the Cowboys. I think it's still going to be a tough matchup. But I mean, Brady and the Bucks, that receiving core. I don't know if Mike Evans is playing, but the offense is actually clicking like it should. And
but Washington has
pull it
3 first-round picks on their front line. 3. All right, that's what they're underestimating. That's what kept them in the season. Chase Young he's a monster, right? But it's just not him, right? There's 2 other gentlemen there that have been drafted in the first round, so they got 3 first-rounders there. But when it comes down to it, Washington just doesn't have the firepower. Alex Smith still doesn't look good to me. That the last 2 games. He's not in his groove. He's came off another injury from a major injury. I just don't see that happen. So I see the Bucks coming in, taking them out, maybe by like 10.
Yeah, I don't think this one's gonna be close. I think they definitely cover a double-digit spread. And to your point, like they might, I've seen him getting 3 or 4 sacks this game, but Tom Brady figures it out. It's a wrap.
Yeah,
because he's known for getting the ball out quick anyway. It's not.
Yeah. Now, this is the game I want to see.
Yeah,
outside of Seattle and LA. This is
the first Sunday game, Ravens at the Titans. We were just talking about Derrick Henry and how the offense essentially revolves around him. They do have, speaking of the large receivers, I'm drawing a blank. Yes, AJ Brown.
AJ Brown's a beast.
DK
Metcalf Jr.
So
he's actually thicker. Man. Brown's like a linebacker. Yeah.
So they have some weapons on offense. The Titans do, but this Ravens team, just about maybe 5 or 4 weeks ago, they were out the playoffs. So I said they would get in. I thought that Miami would get out. So this one's gonna be a.
You were big on Tua.
This is gonna be a dog. All I said was, and we'll get to the picks. All I said was, you draft a guy that high, you need to see what you have.
But
that's
the
all
point
I'm saying.
is to win the game to get in the playoffs. So you play Fitzmagic because he gives you the best opportunity to get into the playoffs.
And if he didn't have COVID, I think they would be in the playoffs.
So you think Fitzmagic was better?
No. I'm basically saying just in that game alone, with Tua messing up, I think Fitz would have came in and saved it.
Kind of like Nick Foles. Kind of like how Nick Foles is better than Carson Wentz.
I guess you can say that.
I mean, wins are wins, but yeah, there's a
Go ahead.
I want to see this game again because the first time they played it, it went double overtime. Plus, this is one of those games you know is going to happen. They're both going to line up. They're going to show their pride. Baltimore is not going to let Henry run over them, and Henry's like, I'm going to run over y'all. So
Yes.
And then Lamar is going to be Lamar, and it's going to come down to who makes less mistakes between Tannehill and Lamar. And I think Tannehill is going to show his ass this time and actually have a turnover or two, which is what he didn't do last year. So I think Baltimore gets a couple turnovers, and that'll be the difference.
Ooh, I don't think I haven't loved the Ravens this year. I haven't loved them. So I'm gonna go with the Titans. I don't think you give Tannehill a chance to show his ass because, to me, the Ravens against that defense at least won't be able to put up the points that'll scare you enough to get into a game where Tannehill has to throw for 250, 300 yards.
Derek will still continue to carry the ball, even well into the second half, right?
Yeah.
But on 3rd and 4,
He got
on
to make a
3rd
play.
and 3,
He got to make a play.
I see Tannehill making a mistake because I've watched Tannehill back when he was at A&M. I watched him for a long time. I watched him when he was in
I didn't know he
Miami.
went to A&M.
Yeah, he wasn't even a quarterback.
Oh,
He was
okay.
actually a receiver and transitioned to quarterback and got drafted in the first round, like his second year after playing quarterback. Because he's an athlete. He's like Taysom Hill, right? But not nearly as fast. But Tannehill's going to make a mistake. Because these two teams are well balanced. Neither one's much better than the other one. Turnovers have to be the difference. And I don't see Lamar making that mistake. I don't. So we'll have to see.
I got the Titans. I think that.
Shout out to Logan Thomas too. He's a college quarterback at Tech, now playing tight end for the Washington football team. So parallels with me.
Yeah.
But we talked about Steph 60 points earlier. Just happened. Bradley Beal went for 60 against the Sixers on 35 shots. So a couple more shots.
Okay, but I see Bradley.
Efficient, yeah.
That's still efficient.
That's efficient.
Nice.
And Bradley probably had a lot more twos than threes.
Yeah.
He probably was going to the rack quite a bit and doing mid-range jumpers. Yeah.
20 to 35.
That's impressive, man. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
All right, so a lot of people were saying this game was moved mainly because Alvin Kamara and the COVID situation. Shipping
I
on.
hate it.
Yeah, so that's what they were saying. It was moved on Sunday, but the Bears and the Saints. The Bears offensively, they're not that great. The great running back David Montgomery. That's probably about all the offense has cooking for him. But but as far as with the Saints, I mean, if they can get everything clicking and going, it should be an easy.
They don't need Kamara to beat the Bears. They're gonna need Kamara in the next round though, no doubt. But they can get past the Bears even without those weird people down there doing all that voodoo stuff down there. Sorry, but y'all do voodoo down there. They can get past the Bears. I don't worry about that at all.
What happened to Tariq Cohen? The other running back from the Bears.
I think he's still there. I don't think he gets. Either he got hurt or.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I haven't even
Because
heard.
it was
I know
like-
he was there last year.
Well, he's
still there.
a little big dude. I mean, he's still there. It's just hard to see him. I don't know. I mean, he's.
Well, that's the thing. Montgomery's a younger dude, so he's probably not coming out that much anyway.
Wait a
So
minute, is this real?
What happened?
This says he had 1,000 yards,
this year,
Cohen?
5 touchdowns. This can't be right.
Maybe
This
total
year?
yards and maybe that's return yards and receiving. It wasn't rushing.
Let me see.
definitely was not rushing. Who you got?
Saints.
Okay,
Yeah, that's easy.
all right.
Yes. This is.
This one's gonna be interesting.
All right, so the Sunday night game, last game of the wild card round, the Browns and the Steelers. Saying it right now.
I'm sorry. That's
Got
for
the
his career.
Browns.
That's for his career, guys.
Okay, that's supposed to ask.
Yeah, definitely not, but
He only played in
We would've
3
heard
games this year.
Yeah, we would have heard of it. So
So familiarity in this game. We got Browns, Steelers, right?
I got Browns, man.
I'm gonna say now.
I got Browns.
I honestly had the Browns not got into the playoffs, right? I forgot who the Steelers would have played, but the Steelers literally limped into the back half of the season. They came out 11-0, and then we started seeing the cracks in their offense, right? Because Ben has only thrown like one pass beyond 18 yards the whole season.
And they had that bye week 4.
Right.
So Ben got a little break, but
But everyone, they're starting to get a little long in the tooth, right? And that the Browns lucked up on getting in, right? They barely got in, but I think the experience, everyone goes, oh, experience, Big Ben, Patriots. Experience eventually gets old, right? And I think this is the weekend it gets old. I think the Browns come in, I think with Kareem Hunt, I think they wear them boys down. And I think they protect Baker. I think they don't let him make throws he shouldn't be making. They're going to kind of keep him in the cupboard a little bit and rely on the run game.
coach, no coach. I mean, I still think they'll, because Just imagine.
Is it their head coach?
The head coach, I think a few other coaches have COVID, so they
or
won't be there.
the coordinator's going to be there though?
The offensive coordinator.
As long as the coordinator's there and the DC and the OC are there, that's who runs the team anyway.
I think the DC
I think it's like 4 coaches.
Yeah,
I think it's 4 coaches. I don't know exactly all of the coaches, but it's 4 coaches that won't be there for sure. The head coach. So, who you got, Marlon?
So I took the Browns +4. I don't know if that means I think they're going to win, but I don't think
Keep it close.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely keep it close.
Mhm.
I think what helps Tomlin is he saw them last week in a game they had to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that helps him on the defensive end. I don't think it helps him enough on the offensive end. Juju, and I said this when they were undefeated. Marlon will attest to this. I didn't think they were that good then.
They kept winning one possession ball games.
Yeah,
with a lot of fortune. One of my best.
and against non-playoff teams too.
Right. they had a weaker schedule this year.
You definitely said it. So
And
I give you that.
Juju hasn't proven himself as a number 1 receiver.
He's not because he's not.
Yeah,
They're gonna move on from the Steeler way. You stay there for a little bit and move on because now Claypool's up.
So this he's not in the long line of ones who actually have been bona fide ones like Mike Wallace
and
Antonio Brown
and
and Plaxico. Those were actually bona fide number ones that moved on. This is just a number 2 that just never became number 1.
Yeah,
That's fair.
So, other than that, that's all I have. Definitely looking forward to a great weekend in sports.
Yeah.
Brandon, thanks again for joining us.
We appreciate it, man.
I love being here. Thanks for having me.
You got anything else, Marlon?
No.
I think that
Go Cowboy.
Yeah, we'll see who we get.
Can't wait till next season, man.
NFL draft.
This was a long season for us Cowboy fans, man, without Dak. So I'm just glad that we can finally, hopefully, he gets better, healthy, and back. And you know the guys up front too. I hope they get healthy and we come back strong. So,
but Zach's not going. We know Zach's not going to finish the season. Tyron, that back is not going to make it past the first half of the season.
The good thing is we got some other guys that got some experience, if nothing else, this year. So.
See Cowboys Super Bowl next year. See where Cowboys.
Let's do it. I would love to see it.
All right, like, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
We out.